Welcome to Streaming News Network, where we deliver balanced reporting with the facts that matter. The Evening Edition by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A judge has increased the bond to $2 million for a tow truck driver accused of causing a deadly crash while allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol. Authorities say Alan Guerrero made an illegal U-turn at a red light while operating a tow truck, colliding with two motorcycles. The crash claimed the life of Chandler Hodge, who family members say would have celebrated his 35th birthday. Another motorcyclist, identified as Larry Pulley, suffered serious injuries, while two additional people were also hurt. Investigators say Guerrero is now facing his fourth charge of driving while impaired. Court records indicate he had 3 previous convictions, his driver's license had been suspended, and he was prohibited from driving. Records also show he was required to use an ignition interlock device designed to prevent impaired driving. Guerrero reportedly launched his towing business in September 2024, despite already having multiple impaired driving convictions. He later lost his driving privileges following another conviction but is accused of continuing to operate his tow truck business for approximately 14 months without a valid license. Court documents also reveal multiple citations over the years for driving without a license, along with a previous federal prison sentence related to the illegal sale of firearms. Guerrero is scheduled to return to court on August 10, as prosecutors continue pursuing the case. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development has suspended funding to the United States Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority following an ongoing federal investigation into alleged financial mismanagement and corruption. According to federal officials, the territory received approximately $1.9 billion in disaster recovery funding after Hurricanes Irma and Maria devastated the islands in 2017. Nearly 9 years later, officials say only about $570 million has been spent, leaving roughly $1.3 billion in assistance still unavailable for recovery efforts. Investigators allege widespread financial mismanagement, inadequate fraud controls, false certifications, and improper payments. Federal officials also report that only 2 of 95 planned single-family housing rehabilitation projects have been completed, while none of 329 planned single-family and multifamily housing projects have been finished. The investigation also found that only 2% of funding intended for electrical grid recovery had been used as of May. Federal authorities further allege the Housing Authority sought $6,200,000 in disaster reimbursement that had already been paid by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The agency's former chief operating officer is already serving a federal prison sentence after convictions that included fraud and money laundering. The Housing Finance Authority has the right to appeal the funding suspension. The federal investigation remains ongoing. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Billionaire businessman and philanthropist Denny Sanford has died at the age of 90, leaving behind a legacy defined by one of the largest charitable giving records in American history. Sanford often said his goal was simple: I want to die broke. During his lifetime, he donated more than $4 billion, including approximately $2 billion to Sanford Health, helping transform a small regional hospital into one of the nation's largest rural healthcare systems. His contributions also funded scholarships, scientific research, community development, children's programs, and educational initiatives across South Dakota and beyond. State leaders praised Sanford for helping shape the state's culture of philanthropy and investing in projects that continue to benefit future generations. Sanford built his fortune through the banking industry after acquiring what became First Premier Bank in the 1980s. Its credit card business serving customers with limited credit histories helped make him one of America's wealthiest individuals. His public legacy was also marked by controversy. In 2020, Sanford was investigated over allegations involving illegal images. No criminal charges were filed within South Dakota's jurisdiction, and Sanford consistently denied wrongdoing through his attorneys. Despite that chapter, Sanford remained one of the nation's most generous philanthropists, dedicating much of his wealth to healthcare, education, and scientific advancement rather than preserving it for future generations. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark has been named the Associated Press Player of the Week following a remarkable series of performances that helped propel her team to back-to-back victories. The honor comes after Clark returned from a brief absence due to a back injury and quickly reminded fans why she is one of the league's brightest stars. In a historic performance, Clark became the first player in Women's National Basketball Association history to record 45 points and 10 assists in a single game, leading the Fever to a 110-107 victory over the Seattle Storm. She followed that performance the next night with 17 points and 7 assists, helping Indiana defeat the New York Liberty by a score of 108-88. During the award-winning week, Clark averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 2.3 rebounds per game while shooting more than 43% from the field. Fans flooded social media with congratulations, praising Clark's resilience, record-breaking play, and leadership as the Fever continue their push toward the postseason. Indiana, now with a 16-10 record, returns to the court on Wednesday against the Connecticut Sun in its final game before the Women's National Basketball Association All-Star break. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Authorities in California say a 19-year-old man was arrested less than 24 hours after being released from jail, accused of committing another jewelry store theft while already facing similar criminal charges. Investigators say Andre Wiley allegedly joined Andrew Ivy, age 18, and Camarius Mahand, also 18, in the theft at a jewelry store in Sacramento County. According to investigators, 2 of the suspects distracted store employees by looking at merchandise while Wiley allegedly took 2 pieces of jewelry from a consultation area. The 3 then fled the store. Law enforcement officials say the suspects were located a short time later after officers identified their vehicle. All 3 were arrested, and authorities report that the stolen jewelry was recovered. Investigators also discovered that Wiley had been released from the Placer County Jail less than 1 day earlier after being granted release while awaiting trial on burglary, conspiracy, and grand theft charges. Authorities say the new allegations involve the same types of offenses. All 3 suspects have now been booked into the Sacramento County Main Jail on suspicion of burglary, conspiracy, and grand theft. Investigators have also released the suspects' booking photographs, saying they believe the 3 may be connected to additional theft cases. The investigation remains ongoing. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's latest tenant outreach initiative is facing criticism from housing advocates who say it does not adequately address the needs of residents living in New York City Housing Authority, or Mitchell-Lama, developments. The city's new campaign encourages volunteers to visit apartment buildings with unresolved housing violations and helps tenants organize to seek repairs and improved living conditions. However, critics argue that the program does not specifically focus on residents of public housing or Mitchell-Lama properties, where many families continue to face maintenance problems, aging infrastructure, and concerns over housing affordability. Recent reports have documented tens of thousands of unresolved mold and water leak work orders within the New York City Housing Authority system, along with increases in heating outages and ongoing concerns about lead paint in some apartments. Separately, residents at Tracy Towers in the Bronx have been notified of a proposed rent increase of approximately 31%, prompting calls from local officials for additional affordability protections. City Hall responded by stating that the administration has held tenant outreach hearings throughout the year and plans additional meetings this fall. Officials also say the city has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in preserving Mitchell-Lama housing and strengthening long-term support for public housing through its broader housing initiatives. The debate highlights continuing concerns over housing affordability and building conditions as New York City works to address the needs of renters across the 5 boroughs. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A restaurant in Orlando, Florida, is asking for the public's help after surveillance video allegedly captured a family of 7 leaving without paying for a meal valued at approximately $300. According to the restaurant, the group ordered multiple dishes and spent time enjoying their meal before leaving in stages during one of the busiest times of the day. Surveillance footage appears to show one member of the group leaving first to retrieve a vehicle while others gradually exited. The final person reportedly remained seated briefly, creating the impression that payment would be made, before also leaving the restaurant. Staff say they did not realize the group had departed until everyone was gone. The restaurant has shared the surveillance video on social media and is asking anyone who recognizes the individuals to come forward. Management also warned other local businesses to remain alert for similar incidents. The video has generated thousands of reactions online. Many viewers expressed support for the restaurant and called for those responsible to be identified, while others emphasized the importance of allowing law enforcement to determine the facts. Officials have not announced whether criminal charges have been filed, and it remains unclear whether a police report has been submitted. Restaurant owners say incidents involving unpaid bills can create significant financial losses, particularly for independently owned businesses operating on narrow profit margins. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. 2 employees of a now-closed Connecticut nursing home have been arrested following the death of a 93-year-old resident who died after wandering outside into freezing temperatures earlier this year. Authorities say Margaret Janice Peggy Healy, who suffered from severe dementia, left the Bickford Healthcare Center during the early morning hours of February 8. Surveillance video reportedly showed her leaving the facility at approximately 1:50 in the morning. Investigators say Healy was found more than 3 hours later in a snowbank near the nursing home. Police allege there was an additional delay of about 1 hour before emergency responders were contacted. The state medical examiner ruled that Healy died from hypothermia caused by environmental exposure, with underlying cardiovascular disease listed as a contributing condition. Her death was classified as an accident. Investigators also determined that Healy was wearing a monitoring device intended to alert staff if she left the building, but officials say it had only been programmed to activate at the facility's front entrance. The arrests follow the recent suspension of the nursing supervisor's professional license after state regulators concluded that required emergency notification procedures were not followed. The nursing home has since closed after state health officials cited numerous violations involving resident safety, supervision, and emergency response procedures. Authorities are expected to release additional details as the criminal case moves forward. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Authorities in Broward County, Florida, have charged Brett Anthony Bellera, the 25-year-old son of Amy Fisher, in connection with the death of a household pet in a case involving allegations of aggravated animal cruelty. Investigators say the charges stem from the death of Bellera's cat, Reaper, in December 2024. According to law enforcement, a forensic examination concluded the animal died from heat-related injuries. Officials have stated that the exact mechanism remains part of the ongoing investigation and has not been publicly confirmed. Bellera's girlfriend, Jennifer Armenti, has also been charged in connection with the case. Authorities say the investigation began after a friend of the couple contacted law enforcement to report the animal's death. Evidence collected at the residence led investigators to pursue criminal charges following a lengthy investigation. Officials say Bellera was formally charged while already in custody on unrelated matters. Armenti was arrested separately in Miramar, Florida. The case has drawn national attention because Bellera is the son of Amy Fisher, whose highly publicized criminal case in the early 1990s made national headlines. Fisher later served a prison sentence and was released on parole. Both defendants are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court, and the investigation remains ongoing.
Thank you for viewing Streaming News Network videos, and also short and special reports. Please like, subscribe, and tap the bell to be notified of additional reports.